Hello, good morning. I want to contribute a little on this insecurity in Nigeria. You see, many of us think that when we think of solving insecurity problem, we think of police, more guns, or army. But it's not always about guns. When you come to insecurity, there are different layers to solving insecurity. Luckily, I live in a country where there's high level of security. You don't see people carrying gun around. Yet there is security. You can just drop your iPhone 17 for 2 days and nobody will touch it. You go and pick it again. Original iPhone 17. So that shows that security is not always about guns. There are different layers to the security solution, not just defense, which is just one part of those several layers. And I have tried to classify these layers into 5 layers, which I named A to D. A stands for accounts. For you to talk of solving insecurity, you must be able to maintain a good account of people who live within your vicinity. The state, there should be a state address for everybody living in the state. So all residents should have a state address. No address should be bush. There's nobody that will come and live in the bush and say the state address is bush. And visitors to the state will also key in. Then when you go to big places like churches or big motels or hotels, there should be a checking system to check in that you visited this place. And a simple app can solve that particular problem. A simple app, you should be able to indicate your state address. And when you are moving, you should also change the location, your address in the system. Because without good account, you cannot control insecurity, that is guerrilla warfare. Even if America comes, they may not be able to do much, because guerrilla warfare is not like a conventional warfare. The British army, as strong as they are, they fought the Anyama Igbos for 31 years in the Kumek War. It took them 31 years to defeat the guerrilla warfare of the Anyama people. 31 years, the British army, because it's unconventional warfare. You need intelligence to be able to defeat guerrilla warfare. Then this next level of stopping insecurity is borders. You cannot leave your borders open to all Dick, Tom and Harry and expect that you have security. It's just like a man, you don't have a gate, you don't have a fence, and you expect you are secured in your house. You don't have a door. So all our borders, state borders, should be monitored, because most of the crimes we have had in the past are trans-state crimes. People have been kidnapped in Onitsha, Anambra State, only for them to be discovered they were taken to Delta State. That means the border between Onitsha and Delta is porous. People were kidnapped in Imo, and they were discovered somewhere in River State. So the borders is another thing. You must make sure that the borders are well monitored, well manned. You cannot move from one state to another without being checked. So the borders is the second layer of that security system. Then the third layer is the C, which I call cameras. There should be cameras in some strategic public locations, and some big businesses must also be mandated to have cameras, because security agencies may resort to it as one of their support system in being able to identify what happened or unravel a security situation. Then, now in these days, there are surveillance you can do with drone surveillance. Then the camera, the last part of the camera, which is very, very, very important. In most of these countries that have security, you find that the citizens contribute by giving security information. But Nigeria, by our culture, people see it as amiable, but it's something that is encouraged in some other climes. So, but if in our own you do what they call a whistleblowing policy, that anybody that reports a crime situation gets something. At least many of these people they are usually lured into this crime for just pennies, for small money. So if they know that they can make that money without participating in the crime or by reporting the crime, they may prefer to report the crime and make the money than being engaged in that crime. And these days they don't have to come to anyone, just an app. With an app, somebody can report a crime, upload evidence, pictures or evidence of that crime, and the security agencies can now go and listen. So you don't need to be present. So with an app, they can report crime, because what many of them are paid for this crime is just minor things, just pennies. Then apart from another thing is that some of them that report should be also be forgiven. Maybe members of a gang, that if they succeed in exposing the gang, they can be forgiven for such things should be will make them to report, because when even the criminal, when they know they are no longer safe, that even members of the gang can give them out, they will be afraid to operate. Then apart from the next layer is now the defense. That is where the police comes in. The military should actually not have much to do with say internal security. They should be at the borders, protecting our borders, and they only come as maybe a support to the police. The police and then the vigilante in the communities. Every traditional ruler should have a vigilante that is funded from the security vote of the governor. In our traditional system, we have the warriors for every traditional ruler. That is a old traditional system. But most traditional rulers now do not have warriors. So this vigilante should be, every traditional ruler should have warriors in the traditional, for the community, and then the armory. The armory of the community should be with the traditional ruler, in the traditional ruler's house, so that every traditional ruler knows that it has a duty to protect the community and call for backup when need be. So we are looking for constitutional rule for the traditional rulers. This is a good traditional rule for the traditional rulers. So the vigilante of the traditional rulers will work with the state, with the police, and then military will only come in when there is a need. But otherwise, military is not, they don't have the technical know-how to fight guerrilla warfare. Okay. Then apart from, after the D, then the last and very important part of the layer is the E, which means education and empowerment. There is a vicious cycle between poverty, ignorance, and insecurity. So to be able to cut or to stop this vicious cycle, they need to be making sure that everybody is empowered with education and job. Because most places you see this high level of insecurity, there is poverty, there is illiteracy. So that's why people can easily radicalize them. They brainwash them, give them peanuts, and they foment trouble everywhere. Thank you and God bless. Please like, share, so that other people will learn and so they can get to the decision makers in our country. Thank you.